Okay, so we've done a lot of coding here, but we haven't had a chance to really test anything just because our setup is somewhat complicated and we got to account for those things. So I'm going to get us to a testing phase as soon as possible. So what we need to do is go into the game state, tweak a few things, get that ready, and we should be able to at least make sure that our capture point is even doing anything. So let's go ahead and get into our game state. So clicking on our game state. A few things that we're going to do right away is, first off, we're going to say, is game scoring? Let's go in there real quick. We have this set up as it should be correctly. We're going to disconnect it for just a little bit just so we can test, because I don't want to have to set up the whole scoring process before we can test anything at all. We just got to remember to come back in here to do this, hook this back up. So I'm going to just check it as true. That means when the capture point checks, it's always going to find that we're scoring, so it will go ahead and do some scoring. I'm going to compile that. We also need to go ahead and fill out a lot of the functions that we made in the game state, so that way our capture point works correctly. So let's see here. Let's go to the create team player count map. All right, let's check this out. So we're going to be making our team player count map. And we use that in the game state, and we use it in the capture point, which is why we have it here, but we haven't completed it yet, because it was part of the game state. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's just run off our players and do a for each loop. And if you remember, this is going to be a player state, which is a class we made but haven't really used yet. So let's cast to our player state. There it is. Okay. And we want to get our players team, which I don't think we've had yet, but let's check. Okay, we don't have it. So let's go into our player state and put our and assign our players team. Now I'm well aware that Unreal Engine does have a player team enum. There's a few reasons I don't want to use it, just because it would overcomplicate what we're trying to do here. Basically, bunch of native code stuff that we'd have to make sure is up to date, and I don't want to mess with it. So we're going to go to not our character, but our player state. Capture flag player state. And we're going to make our own team enum. Let's see. Okay, so in our variables, okay, and just call it player team. And if I remember right, I think we replicated that. Yeah. So let's go ahead and set it to our team enum. All right, team enum. Okay. And let's keep on doing what we're doing. I'm pretty sure even if we don't use it in this mode, we're eventually going to use some sort of notification when the team changes. We might use it in this one. But let's do what we've been doing. So let's do a rep notify. We got our, and that created our on-rep player team. So we go into here, we get our player team. See, we got the two things here, so we know that we are replicated. And just so you know, if you just did normal replication and didn't do the rep notify, it just wouldn't give you that event. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. It wouldn't give you this on rep notify thing. It's pretty important to us. So let's go ahead and add our event dispatcher and just say on player team changed. All right. Mike's a little bit in my way here. I'm just going to adjust it. Okay, so on player team changed. We're going to broadcast all. And I always do this. Got to select the actual node here, or not the node, but the variable. So if you want to do stuff. And we're going to add in the team. So team enum. Oop. All right, there we go. And we'll call it in team. Cool. Now, clients can listen to team changes. Here it is again. It's clearly the parameter name change that causes the issue. There we go. All better. Now, let's go back to our game state. We're getting a little crowded up here. All right. So what were we doing? We're getting our player team. So we get our player team. And then we're going to see if it's equal. And we have equal, but I'm going to try not equal. And the symbol for not equal is the exclamation point and then an equal sign. We get a not equal, which means it's the same as if we were to put a not note at the end of here. So it's like if it's not this, okay? And we're going to say if it's not no team, which means if it is a team. Kind of backwards logic, but that's fairly common in stuff. You know, it's kind of a double negative in standard English, but we allow it in programming. And we wanted to execute that true statement that actually is less confusing in the long run. So if the player team is not no team, which means it actually is a team, we're going to go get our team player count map. So this thing. All right, so what you can do here with any local variable is we're going to make one first, then I'll tell you what you can do with it. Team player count map, and then make it the same type as this. So what was that? Enum. We had the map. Hang on. It was a team and then the integers. So team map. There we go. Team enum. The integer. Okay, already done. Cool. Now, as I was about to say, you can do this with any variable, really. We're going to set its defaults for us, which is pretty handy. So what I mean by that is we're going to click the little plus icon here. And we're going to say team 1, 0, team 2, 0. Really important to do this or this whole function won't work. That way we already have established we have a team 1 and a team 2, and we've just, so far, we're going to default to that. That way it says, okay, create our team player count map. Well, we got our map of teams. We just don't have any players for each team. All right, get that. And then we're going to find. So basically it's saying out of all the players, we're going to get the player, we're going to get its team, and then we're going to find the team that this player belongs to. And when you find it, you're going to do something. But what you need to have here is definitely some sort of error condition, because we've already got the teams in here. The game has been running. Everybody should be assigned a team. And if they're not at this point, something's critically wrong. So let's go ahead and log an error. So we got the capture flag player state. Here's what I do for shortcuts. I just grab it here like that. Go back to our, game state. Put it in here like this. Capture flag game state. Scope operator. Create team player count map. Copy that. Paste it in. Error. Unable to find team in team player count map. Just like that. Make it bright red or whatever that is. Make it for a longer time than normal. All right. Close it up. Keep it nice and closed. All right. Now, if we do find it, we're going to do something to that value. We are going to add 1 to it. Increment might have worked, but I'm just going with the good old +1 because there are some little gotchas when you use that, particularly if you have a replicated variable that you're incrementing. It likes to have that good old set. So I've just gotten into the habit of really not using the increment function that you can use like you would use in a for loop. It's just the same either way. And before we go here, let's create our team map. Probably, I could just grab it again. Might be cleaner. And just say add. Okay, and what are we going to add? This value. and this team. Okay. So you're like, well, you're going to do that with every player. Won't you just keep adding teams? Well, maps are unique in that they can only have one of the key type, and the key type is the first thing. So the team. This is considered the value. This is considered the key. And so if you try to put in a key that already exists, it overwrites what was already there. And since we're taking the value that was already there, we find it, right? We find the value, and then we increment it. We're taking the value that was already there plus 1, and we're setting it. So that's how we would set our map. A little different than arrays, but they're handy like that. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. I'm going to line that up with a nice Q node because that's driving me crazy. Okay, cool. We added to our map player. Now, as we talked about before, we got to have a fail condition. So let's do that. Or actually, it's not even a fail condition. It's just a return. We got to return the value. Oops. Okay, we've been working on this local variable. Now, I mentioned earlier I don't like to use the completed because inevitably something will, mess up there. And what I mean, to be specific, okay. If I were doing multiple logic after the for each loop, it's likely that an error would be highly probable just because of when you go to add and stuff like that. So just from experience, the one exception is if the for loop starts the function and it ends the function. Okay, fine. I'll use the completed node just like that rather than have a sequence and a return node. There, it's reasonable. And it's going to handle all return potentials, which we have to do. Okay, let's see what other functions that we've created here. So we have add capture point. I don't think that we're going to need that to do our first line of testing. Let me see. Yeah, I think we can get away with not doing that yet. We already did the scoring. And we got the team player count map. Okay, let's throw these in the world and see where we're at. We'll slap a debugger on it and see what kind of progress we're getting. I'm going to go back into our capture point so we can see where our update progress function is. And let's see, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then right about here, we're going to set team progress. So what would be a good place to put? Yeah, I'm thinking right around here would be a good place to put a debug node. So let's do this. Let's do print string. And let's do, I think it's append. Or is it format text? Format text. There we go. And let's just put in team, colon, in brackets, team, curly brackets. And then let's put in progress, colon, in brackets, progress. I know the thing is over. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay. Now you can see team and progress. And when you put those in brackets, it makes these little variables here. Okay. So let's just pull off of here. That's a good. And let's say, and since we're going to delete this, I'm going to get a little messy. We'll clean it up. So don't freak out. So let's get here. Go. Let's get our team progress. Split it off of here. Progress. Team. See if I can get it to string. Enum to string. Then that will go to text. Oh, okay, cool. It just took it. Nice. You know what, to make this really simple, just put it down here and it'll make it easy to clean back up when we're done. There. We already covered that. Print string. Okay. So sequence. Right. All we're doing is setting up a debug, so we know kind of if what we built so far is working or not. Wow. Save. Okay. We got our starting world right here. Let's throw in a capture point. There it is. What else we need? Let's just go ahead and get in there. It as a client. Run over. See if anything at all happens. Progress 0. No team. It's not detecting a team. It's because we haven't assigned a team to the player. So that's good that we know it's at least trying to do something. So we need to go ahead and assign the player a team.